An ant making away with a diamond, to an octopus snatching a camera from an underwater photographer, check out the following moments when animals robbed people. But before we begin, I've noticed that most of you watching this aren't subscribed yet. If you do like our videos, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's absolutely free, and you can always change your mind later. Number 10. Seagulls are probably the biggest animal robbers, swooping down to steal whatever you're eating right from your hands. And the food isn't exactly at a place that'll allow them to fly away. They can just walk in, pick it up, and head out to enjoy it. At least that's what this 2007 footage shows. Captured in Aberdeen, Scotland, the clip shows the daring bird walking into an open store and grabbing his favorite bag of Doritos before flying off to supposedly share the snack with his bird friends. Nicknamed Sam, the seagull would reportedly wait until there weren't customers in the store and the storekeeper was behind the till before going in for his bag of Doritos. With time, he became so popular that the locals offered to pay for his treats when the shop owners closed the doors to keep him away. Number 9. In the incident that took place in Lala Lajpat Rai Memorial College, the monkey took away some medical items and blood samples of 3 COVID-19 patients. The lab technician would later record a video of the monkey appearing to check out the loot, probably hoping for something to munch on. It's not clear what happened next, but the monkey might have found nothing interesting about the blood samples and medical items, dropped them, and went about his day. But the lab technician had some explaining to do, like how the monkey managed to overpower him and why. Instead of immediately notifying the hospital officials, he decided to film the incident. Number 8. Apparently, octopuses may not like getting photographed without their express permission. In 2013, an underwater photographer found this out the hard way as he clicked away at a female giant Pacific octopus. The octopus appeared to be all smiles at first, allowing the photographer, Drew Collins, to take 2 photos of her. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the octopus unleashed her huge tentacles on the diver, tightly grabbed the camera, and refusing to let go, consequently leading to a fight. At first, Drew managed to hold onto the camera, but he was quickly outnumbered as the octopus kept sending more arms his way, targeting his diving gear, and even managed to undo his dry gloves. At that point, he knew he had to let go. He swam back to the surface to re-strategize, all the while bearing the brunt of the cold ocean waters that filled his dry suit. Luckily, the octopus gave up the camera when Drew dived back with his partner, but not before taking some blurry photos of herself and attempting to chew the camera. But being such an intelligent creature, the octopus might have been curious about the camera and devised a plan to have a closer look. Number 7. In the 2018 incident, the bird seems to be curious about how the ticket machine works, so he was just hopping around, probably looking for the littlest clue. As it paces around, a woman's card is ejected, which the crow grabs immediately, as if he's just realized that he needs it for the machine. He fiddles with it for a few seconds before finally letting the owner have her card back. While it's clear the crow had no idea about both the card and ticket machine, some crows have been trained in the past to use vending machines, dropping in coins to receive treats. So maybe he just needed a few pointers to finally start taking train trips across the country. Number 6. This great white shark didn't seem to appreciate the fact that someone was taking away its snack. In 2019, a family had organized a fishing trip off the Cape Cod coast in Massachusetts when something interesting happened. A woman was reeling in a bass and was so close to getting out of the boat when a great white leaped out of the water just in time to snatch the woman's catch, biting away a big chunk of it. For the next few seconds, the apex predator was gone just as fast as it had appeared, swinging its tail so close to the boat that it nearly hit one of the boys on the boat. While the whole encounter visibly shook those on board, no one was hurt that day, and the fishing party went ahead to land a few more catches without the shark popping up again. At the time, the encounter was just one among the numerous great white incidents in the Cape Cod area that had inevitably led to the first death in over 80 years. That being said though, sharks generally don't consider humans prey, and much of the shark bites are just them being inquisitive. Number 5. Thought animals don't understand business? Think again. In Bali's Uluwatu temple, long-tailed macaques have perfected exchanging items, such as cameras, hats, sunglasses, jewelry, anything they can get their hands on, with food. How do they get this stuff though? They steal it from unsuspecting tourists, and they usually don't take just anything to give back the stolen items. If a macaque doesn't like whatever the temple staff has to offer, he'll just keep throwing it away while firmly holding onto his loot until he's finally handed something he likes. That these animals learn to snatch stuff and then turn around to trade the same for food is quite remarkable. But what's even more impressive is that the macaques that came up with the arrangement were able to pass it on to their offspring. It's not clear how these specific monkeys developed this behavior, as it hasn't been observed anywhere else frequented by tourists. That being said though, human presence definitely played a major role. Number 4. Monkeys aren't the only animals guilty of stealing things they don't need. For some reason, a fox in Berlin, Germany, took delight in having a shoe collection, probably bigger than what most people have. In 2020, the cheeky fox was discovered to own a little over 100 shoes, most of them Crocs, a rather surprising hobby for an animal. The discovery was all thanks to a Christian Meyer who woke up to find one of his pricey running shoes missing after leaving a pair on the porch. A little upset by the loss, Meyer started asking around, and that's when he discovered he wasn't the only victim. Until then, though, no one had any idea who or where the shoe thief was. Luckily enough, Meyer would later spot a fox carrying a pair of blue flip-flops, and so he decided to follow him a few days later. In its thicket hideout, the fox had quite a collection featuring clogs, slippers, sneakers, and sandals, all in different sizes, shapes, and colors. Too bad for Meyer though, his sneaker wasn't among them. Clearly, the fox had another stash somewhere else. This isn't the only incident of a fox's love for shoes. There have been several documented incidents of the same happening in Australia, Japan, the UK, and again, Germany, with the Japanese and German foxes having the biggest collections at 40 and 110 pairs respectively. Whatever it is with foxes and shoes is still unclear. Number 3. The tiny ant tries to make away with a diamond, occasionally dragging the stone, probably to ensure no one is watching. He walks on for about 47 seconds before the video abruptly ends, leaving lots of unanswered questions. While the heist was clearly unsuccessful, the ant certainly set a record as the first of his kind to ever attempt such a daring act. Grabbing stuff isn't so new for ants though. According to researchers, the tiny guys are always on the lookout for something they can bring back to their nests, either to serve as a food source or to doll up their quarters. That being said, the ant's decision to make off with a diamond is a bit strange, as it's not an item most of these insects are attracted to. Number 2. Dealing with a human home invader is terrifying enough. Now imagine having to stand up to a 7-foot-tall bear. That's what a couple in South Lake Tahoe in California encountered in 2018, not once or twice, but 6 times. Well, they didn't directly face off with the massive furry robber, but the aftermath of the visits was felt in their pockets as they had to make several repairs worth hundreds of dollars. For the first few times, the bear would just push the front door open and rummage through the house for anything edible before going on with his day. But as the couple, Lane Sykes and Carol Schofield, took steps to prevent this, the bear had to get creative, and the entry he used to get into the house was the least they could expect: a tiny kitchen window that, at a glance, wouldn't accommodate the bear's size. On a CCTV camera they set up, they watched as the 300-pound animal climbed onto the kitchen sink before downing a couple of M&Ms that were on the countertop. Apparently, going for the sweet stuff had been his mode of operation all along. In the previous visits, the bear had snacked on chocolate powder, maple syrup, and cinnamon-flavored raisin bread. Number 1. In 2010, Dennis the cat from Luton, England, had just turned 6 when his owner, Leslie Newman, let him out of the house for the first time. Unbeknownst to Leslie, that marked the beginning of a long stealing spree in the neighborhood perpetrated by none other than Dennis. After just a week of getting to test outside freedom, the cat would bring home all kinds of stuff like paintbrushes, dolls, shirts, shoes, and even boxers. And he would do this almost every day, leaving the loot in the front room or climbing with them in bed as gifts to his owner. 2 years into his stealing career, the cat was quite famous in his neighborhood, with the neighbors dropping by anytime they noticed anything missing in their homes. Luckily, they weren't so upset with the cat's peculiar ways. While the choice of gifts by Dennis was a bit out of the norm, it's not unusual for cats to bring home presents to show adoration and appreciation to their owners. The common presents in this case include dead animals like birds and mice, which the cat accompanies with vocalizations to get the owner